in China's Xinjiang province, your brothers and sisters. How do you feel about the fact that at least 500,000, some say more, of your brothers and sisters are being detained in camps by the Chinese government? That's 5% of the adult Uyghur population, one of the highest imprisonment detention rates in the world.
Medhi, the Uyghurs are a proud ethnic group, one of the 56 ethnic nationalities in China. The Uyghurs, as far as I'm concerned, are my true brothers and sisters. I know many of them. I travel to Xinjiang regularly, and I talk to many of the Uyghurs. Now, if anyone is serious about accusing China of practicing mass injustice to the Uyghurs, give me the evidence.
I just did. Human Rights Watch say 500,000 people detained over the years in recent years.
You keep quote Human Rights Watch, and I tell you...
Do you know where they got those numbers from?
I don't know.
Can I tell you?
I don't know.
I thought you were the expert on... You've been to Xinjiang, you've spoken to Uyghurs. You never heard these numbers?
I do not know where did they get the source.
So their source is the Xinjiang High People's Procuratorate, which has published its own statistics, Xinjiang official body, which says it's convicted 540,826 people prosecuted in the region since 2017. The United Nations Office for Human Rights looked at satellite footage. They say 10 to 20% of the population. Amnesty estimates 1 million people in camps. 500,000 is a conservative number.
Medhi, if you quote that organization, please be assured that that organization has been completely discredited for the false information they came up with.
So I love this game we're playing. You give me a source, I give you a source, they're discredited. They've said falsehoods.
Medhi,
how can we... Let me ask you a question. How many people are in detention in Xinjiang? You give me a number.
Listen, if you look at Xinjiang...
You give me a number.
If you look at... I do not have the number.
Why not?
Yeah.
Hold on. You can't say it's not 500,000 and then say you don't have a number. I have a number, I have sources. How many people do you think are detained?
Let me give you my reason.
No.
I go to Xinjiang a lot. I traveled almost
So they're your brothers and sisters,
Xinjiang.
You go there a lot, but you can't tell me how many people are in detention.
Listen, they are happier, they enjoy their life, they enjoy their Muslim practices and traditions. Listen.
How many people are in detention, Victor?
Medhi, let me be philosophical.
No, don't be philosophical. Be numerical.
No.
How many people are in detention? You said no to 500,000. How about, okay, let's let 250,000.
Let me finish my point.
Nope. You answer the question. You can't filibuster, Victor, on this show.
If anyone promotes Xinjiang independence, they will be dealt with in
court.
Got
it. How many of them are in court? How many in detention?
A very small minority.
So you don't have a number. You say they're all happy, but you won't let in independent investigators. You won't let in journalists to go there.
Why not?
They're not allowed to go there.
I will be happy to escort you to Xinjiang.
Really?
I can make that promise.
Really?
I will speak to the Chinese government.
Here's the problem,
to the Chinese embassy.
I don't want to escort. I don't want minders. I want to go freely. Will you allow that?
I do not make that decision.
Oh! A moment ago, you were going to make all sorts of interruptions. Suddenly I said, let me go freely and speak to Uyghurs freely. Can I do that with no minders?
I'll be happy.
No Chinese government escort.
I will be happy to make your case.
Oh, just now you said you'd organize it. Now we're back. Make a case. You can't guarantee. Medhi Hasan is a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council, international human rights lawyer. You are a Uyghur who Victor says, brothers and sisters. Your literal brother has been held in an internment camp in Xinjiang since 2016, I believe. Medhi, tell us what happened to your brother, and what is your response to Victor, to what you've heard, and what is the latest on your brother, if you don't mind sharing with us?
Yeah, my brother Akbar Assad is a prominent tech entrepreneur. In fact, your own media outlet called him a bright star in the tech world. Right before his detention, he was invited on a state gala dinner, and then he disappeared. How could you explain that?
Medhi, again, in China, we have about 20 Muslim ethnic groups. You need to ask one question. Why the extremism existed mostly among the Uyghur communities? Because there are extremists among the Uyghur community who want to separate Xinjiang away from China.
Has your brother been convicted of any crime?
Supported by CIA and other Western organizations.
Okay.
That's the real truth.
Hold on.
Talk to the Kazakhs, they don't support.
Has your brother been convicted of a crime?
According to UN, there's no trial has taken place. He just forcibly disappeared. Actually, it amounts to enforced disappearance. But according to the Chinese government, he committed a crime of inciting ethnic discrimination while he's systematically oppressed. And when I challenged that decision, because under the Chinese law, if you're committed with the alleged crime, that you have 3 years sentence, but he got 15 years. How do you justify that? Then they switched the crime. So how do you even explain this is a rule of law system? You mentioned that if people are not pro-independent, then they're fine in Xinjiang. My brother by no means is pro-independent. In fact, your media outlet, daily media, invited him to exchange information. Did he split the country when he visited Beijing?
Are you okay with the treatment of her brother?
In front of this very august body, let me make several very brief points. The real crime involved by some of the Uyghur people are agitating for Xinjiang independence. They violate the One China policy. Now, separate from that, different communities may find their own different problems which need to be sorted out in the course of law. And I hope...
But her brother's been detained for 8 years.
Well, I do not know the charge. I hope I can help you to really look at the case, at the accusation against him.
Yeah,
I hope your brother is not guilty of inciting for separatism of Xinjiang. If that is the case, then let the law take its course.
Well, your media outlet called him a model citizen who is a promoter of ethnic unity in Xinjiang.
Have you been able to speak to your brother or see him?
No, not at all. For 8 years, he's forcibly disappeared. Up until last month, for the first time, my parents saw him. What kind of justice system is that? You're making a mockery
You're not
of the
just
rule of
detaining
law.
them, Victor. They're being tortured. Numerous testimonies the UN has collected. Are you okay with that?
Mehdi, when you talk about torture, think about Guantanamo Bay prisons.
Oh, my word.
Rather than in Xinjiang. Xinjiang is a place of great peace and stability.
The accounts
Victor,
the accounts of detainees include being beaten with batons, electric batons, while strapped in a so-called tiger chair. 158 being subjected to interrogation with water poured on their faces, prolonged solitary confinement, forced to sit motionless on stools for long periods like this. You're okay with this? This is the proud China?
Probably you are reading the case in Iraq committed by the American soldiers.
I'm reading the UN report in August 2022 from detainees who came out of camps in Xinjiang. Your brothers and sisters, but these brothers and sisters you don't seem to give a damn about. How do you know any torture happened in Iraq, out of interest?
I know.
How?
I know for sure.
How?
I talked to the Iraqi ambassador in Beijing.
Okay.
He wept in front of me.
And I'm sure Rehan's parents have wept, and you don't seem to care.
And I hope you will tell your brother, be a staunch supporter of One China policy, be a proud
I cannot
Chinese
tell him he's
Uyghur,
in prison.
She can't tell him because she can't speak to him, because you deny access, Victor.
China.
Victor, she can't speak to him. Are you going to arrange it? Are you going to arrange a visit now?
I'd be happy to help you to make a phone call.
There's a lot of promises being made here, guys. You should follow up on this afterwards.
You are all witnesses.
We are witnesses, indeed. Let me bring in Martin Jakes. Martin, when you hear people say, basically, there's no torture, everyone's making it up, there's nobody in detention, come on, that's ridiculous, is it not, Martin?
Well, I mean, I don't know all the details of the situation in Xinjiang, but clearly there's been a big problem for a long time in Xinjiang in terms of the relationship between the Uyghur and the Han. And that came to a head in 2009 when there was a demonstration and 200 people were killed by the Uyghur, and then the Chinese inflicted the same kind of damage on the hand. So this is a deep problem in my view, and it's not easily passed off. There's no other problem in China of this kind.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people consider
this is a big problem.
That's a pretty big problem.
It's a very big problem for them. Yeah. But the other thing, Medhi, I'd say is that the point that's being made about separatism is true. That I think that the 30 million Muslims in China, the Hui is the biggest single minority. Yeah. They are completely integrated. But the problem in Xinjiang is clearly the issue of separatism.
Stephen, let me ask you this question. Victor's making a lot of promises tonight about me going to Xinjiang and Rehan going to Xinjiang and everyone's going to be fine. How safe, how okay are you with visiting China? How free do you think you are when you go to China?
When I go to China, and I haven't been for some time, I'm watched almost 24/7. There's always someone